I'm Alice Thornycroft, and this is Brilliant Minds London in Conversation, the podcast series where we untap the insights and stories from individuals who've performed at the very top of their careers. And today, my guest is a man who has defined an era of British athletics. He's the only British male sprinter in history to have achieved the Grand Slam, holding Olympic, World, European and Commonwealth titles all at once. But beyond the medals, he's a mentor, he's a coach, and a man who's navigated the highest of highs and the toughest of headlines with a relentless drive for respect. Please welcome the legendary Linford Christie. And actually, Linford, I was just saying, I feel really honoured that you're here today. I've been super excited, and when you said you would do this podcast, I've had a few sleepless nights, if I'm honest, with excitement, which is a good thing at my age when I'm 53. So welcome. Linford, I'd love to take you back to when you were a little boy. And the age of 7, you came from Jamaica to the UK. And you've often spoken about your grandmother being your first coach. Can you tell me a little bit about her and what she was like?
My grandmother, well, I mean, for me, greatest person ever lived. To me, of course, grandparents are, it's not that she allowed me to do whatever I wanted, but, she was, I suppose they say, a child's first love is their mother, or a boy's first love is their mother, but my mum left me when I was 2 years old, so I didn't remember much about her. So my grandmother was sort of like my first love because, she was more than a mother, to me. And we lived in Jamaica with my cousins and everyone else, and she was the person when everyone else, I suppose, all my aunts and uncles and whatever was in the UK, they moved on to make a better life for us. So my grandmother was the person that looked after us, and for me, she was perfect. She was the person growing up I wanted to be like, and yeah. Loved it. Even to this day, I love my grandmother.
Oh, and you were one of many children, weren't you? So how many siblings did you have?
Well, I lived in Jamaica at the time. I think there was myself and my 2 sisters. Then there was maybe my 2-3 cousins. So I think, offhand, they must have been at least 8 of us.
Wow.
And we all, we lived in, we all lived in the same house and everything else. And my grandmother was, the head of everything else. And of course, what they do, the elders looked after,
yes,
the other kids looked after the younger ones, and it went down, and I was the youngest. So yeah, I was a little bit spoiled.
And did you, as a child, were you competitive at all with your siblings?
I think I was competitive with my siblings, not sporting-wise, educationally. I think because, living in Jamaica, I mean, I went to school maybe when I was about, 4 or 5. And when you went to school, I knew my times tables to 12. I was able to read and, all these kind of things. And so I was competing with my older siblings and, because I suppose everything they did, I just wanted to do better.
Yes.
And it seems, very difficult to believe when, you're 4 or 5, but I think in the Caribbean, and especially in Jamaica, I think you're quite advanced. I mean, I came to England. When I came to England, I was so surprised that, the kids are reading,
baby books,
yeah,
comparatively,
yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And you have for Bouncy Ben, So that was the kind of thing. So yes, I mean, I was a bit taken aback, and I think, that was the way I competed with my sisters and grow. And also, I think any sport they play. I mean, I suppose anything they did. When we played hopscotch and all these things, and I just wanted to be better than them.
Yes.
Because even though I got, I had an older brother, he was a policeman, and so he didn't live with us, and so my sisters were, sort of like my elders, people I looked up to at the time. So I competed with them. I played every game my sisters played, and I just had to be better than them.
You just had to be better.
Had to be better.
And so when you came to the UK age 7, what was it like coming from Jamaica to because you came to London, didn't you?
I did indeed, you know, and I remember it quite well. I came on BOAC, you know, British Overseas Airlines, whatever it is, and I suppose England was totally different from what I thought it was. I used to say, you know, the streets of London's paved with gold, and being young, I suppose you literally believe that. And, you know, people would say, when you go into the houses, it's just got, what they call it, pretty papers all over the wall. And so, you know, when I arrived, I thought, oh, this wasn't it, you know. And, you know, especially also in Jamaica, it was warm.
Yes.
It was warm. And, you know, I came to the UK in September, which wasn't too bad, but it was just beginning to change. And then the shock, of course, was the cold.
Yes.
And the snow started falling, and it started, you know, I suppose it doesn't happen now, but in those days, you got chill blades, you know. It was,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, it just seems like the weather has changed a lot, but it was a big shock for me.
And did you come with your grandparents?
No, I didn't come at all. No, you see, I came with my eldest sister.
Right.
We came together, and then I had, you know, my cousins and my other sister was there, so she, you know, they stayed with my grandmother because, you know, otherwise there would be no one to look after them. So she stayed until when everyone else came.
That must have been hard for you.
Yes, it was. It was kind of hard for me, but at the same time, you know, I had 3 siblings here,
Yeah.
and so I suppose as a kid, you want to meet them. I just wanted to meet my brothers and meet people, you know, around, you know, because we were all like 2 years apart. So I just wanted to meet and see, you know, it was just one of those things, explore as a kid.
So you went to school in the UK, in London, and whereabouts were you in London?
I lived, we were Shepherd's Bush.
Shepherd's Bush area,
Shepherd's
yes.
Bush, and I lived on Loftus Road.
Oh, did you?
Indeed, right
I know.
next door. But I think we lived maybe about 2 or 3 houses away from QPR.
Did you?
So
Did you go down and watch them?
we used to be able to watch the game through our back window.
Oh, brilliant.
So as a kid, we looked through, and then, you know, when you got a bit older, then, you know, the thing is, before they built all the fence, there's a place called Batman Close, and there was a block of flats, and my friends and I, we used to go to the top of the flats and climb onto the roof, and we can look over and see.
Brilliant, brilliant. So were you a big football fan?
Not as big, you know. I mean, of course, I thought I was going to be Georgie Best.
Of course, that's what everyone thinks,
Yes,
don't they, when they're a
indeed.
7-year-old boy?
Exactly, yes. So I wanted to be Georgie Best, and then, you know, my mum bought me a pair of Georgie Best, you know, Puma football boots.
Oh, so you had Puma back then?
Oh, yes,
my
indeed.
goodness.
And I thought they were going to make me play like Georgie Best.
But sadly not.
Well, no, I mean, my mum banned me from playing football when I got to secondary school.
Oh, really? Why?
Because I kept kicking my shoes.
Oh, so,
You know,
yeah.
We were only allowed a tennis ball at the time. You know, you go to school, you can only play with a tennis ball. So every time I went to kick the ball, I'd scuff my shoes. And she said, no more
Enough.
football.
Enough. So when did athletics come into into your life then?
Well, athletics came into my life when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
And again, one of my Georgia Best moments, I ran across the playground for the football. And there was a Mr. Wright, I think he was like the art teacher at the time. And he was looking out his window, and he came down and he said, you look really quick. Would you like to try out for, you know, the school team? And
You what? Why not?
yeah, I mean, I didn't, you know. So then, I mean, I remember I was wearing plimsolls with the elastic in the front. You
Oh,
know,
yes. Oh, gosh, I remember that.
And yeah, so I mean, I think the funny thing, I had a run off with a guy. I mean, I remember his name till this day. His name was Perry Stevenson.
Right.
And he was sort of like the quickest guy in school. And yeah, and I beat him. And I thought, yeah, maybe I am quick. And then we had like sports day, because we used to go, White City Stadium was at the back of our school. So I went to Canberra Primary School. And, you know, we used to go through the back into White City. But the girls, there was a girl at my school called Lucy Imberlin. I think she was rapid. But again, you know, as a kid, you know, girls grew way
faster.
tall.
Yeah,
I mean, she was taller than, you know, but she gave us
could
a
run.
whooping. Yeah, she was good. She was, you know, really, really good.
Have you ever met up with her since school?
Yeah, I mean, I used to see her around, you know, when I used to live in White City and everything else. Yeah, I used to see her. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know if she remembers that she was that quick.
And she didn't carry on with athletics, or we'd have heard of her? No.
You know, I think, you know, for me, even with my athletics, I think it's a lot to do I mean, first of all, I think, I was destined to do it. But also, you have to be a little bit lucky. Because even when every time I changed schools, I mean, I went from Canberra to Brackenbury, which was in Hammersmith, and they really didn't do much sort of athletics, but they played football. So I played football for the school team and everything else. But there was always a teacher there, encouraging me to run.
Yes.
So I went to secondary school in Fulham, and then Henry Compton, and the teachers there was so encouraging, very sporty school. And we had a couple of guys. We had a guy called Jerry Gangadoo, who at the time went to Borough Road, but he was, pretty good athlete. He had all the school records for the long jump on the 100 meters. And then, my housemaster, Mr. Cartwright, and then there was a couple of Mr. Joneses who, Welsh, of course, played rugby. And they encouraged me to run.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, So we had a really good sporting, relationship at school. And, but I can't even say, I wasn't even the fastest in school.
There were some more rapid kids
indeed,
about.
Yes.
But
But I was the one that, I don't know, they encouraged me.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Jones took me down to the track and I met my coach, Ron Rodden.
Yes.
And that was really the start of things.
So the other thing that I was reading about you is you joined the air training corps, didn't you? At 18.
Air cadets, ATC.
Yeah, the air cadets. How long were you involved with them?
I was in the ATC, I think maybe about 4 years, because I think when you get to about 19, I think you leave.
Right.
And so again, it was a very sporty organisation, and they taught you discipline. And I think, later on in life, that was the kind of discipline I needed for, athletics. So,
like what? What kind of thing?
If you were late or you didn't do what you were told, they would give you a toothbrush to sweep the floor.
No.
So these are all things.
Oh my, right. So you're never going to be late then?
Oh, you're never going to be late. No. You're always going to, they teach you, to take orders, of course, because it was very, very similar to, I assume, to the RAF. And so, orders came down, you had to take orders. And then we went away on trips, we did night exercise, you had to get up in the middle of the night and do all these things. And I think as a young person, it was valuable for me.
Yeah.
So that when I started going to the track and my coach started giving me orders and everything else, then you got to learn to take instructions and, and to deal with it. And that's, in my early days, I learned from being in the Air Cadets.
Yeah. So you talk about your coach, the late Ron Rodden, great man.
Absolutely.
Your coach for life, was
Indeed.
he not?
Yes, he was indeed. He was, in my early days, I think when Mr. Wright took me to the track, not Mr. Wright, Mr. Jones took me to the track and I met Ron and everything else. But for me, I didn't know I wanted to be, a runner or a sprinter or anything else. It was just, for me, it was social, and Ron saw something in me that I didn't see myself and everything else. And, I didn't train like I didn't really, if the session was too hard, I would just hang out with my mates. And if then every now and again I would, do some running. And then I joined London Irish Athletic Club. And so, we just did the sprinting for them. We ran the relay and everything else. But Ron, he didn't force me. He just kept, saying, do it. And one day, he just wrote me a letter. I think after, I don't know, I've been going down there for however long. I must have been maybe in my 20s. Then he wrote me a letter along with Andy Norman, who was the promoter of the sport. And they said, if you, change your lifestyle and dedicate yourself, you could be really good.
Have you still got that letter?
No, I don't even know where it is right now, to be honest. And the funny thing is, what I did with it at the time, I took it to my grandmother. And we had a conversation. And I said, this is what they were saying. And she said to me, have a go. She said, you don't want to go through life saying, if only, or I could have. She said, if you did it, if you try and you fail, at least you've tried. but you never know what can happen if you don't try. And that's what I did. And, within 6 months, I became number 4 in the world.
Unbelievable.
And that was it. And then, you get the taste and you get the feeling of it. And that was it.
What was it do you think that Ron saw in you that you didn't see in yourself? Did he ever tell you that when he was alive?
No, I think, when we had this discussion, if I remember correctly, I mean, I suppose I was tall. Mm-hmm. I had the range and everything else. And I suppose he could see most probably when I did get down to doing the session that I had some speed. Mm-hmm. And without any training at all, I went to English schools, which is, all the school kids. And I came second to Phil Brown, who was an established junior athlete. And, those guys had coaches and they were training and everything else, and I wasn't. And I suppose all those things. I mean, it's the old idea of being a coach now, you've got to recognise talent. And I think that's what he did. He recognised talent.
And were you surprised when you rock up to the all English schools that you came second just straight off the bat like that?
I was very surprised. But, again, when I said about a bit of luck, because all these guys, I mean, Phil Brown, he kept saying, who's your coach? And I said, well, didn't have a coach. And he goes, you could be really good. I mean, and, coming from your peers and people who were already established, and eventually, you start to believe. You start to believe in some of the things that people, if everyone's telling you the same thing, then there's got to be some truth in it.
And what was it about Ron's coaching style, do you think, that afforded him to get the best out of you?
A very good question. I never thought of that. I think with Ron, he was not pushy. He wasn't pushy at all. He didn't, like I said, he never forced me to do anything. And one of the things, there's an incident happened which made me believe in him even more. We went away to Lanzarote, to La Santa Sport to train, and a journalist had a bet with Ron over a pint for a race for 100 metres. And when the race started, the way Ron ran the race, and he won in the end, and I thought, this is exactly how he's always been telling me to run. And after that, I said, I will never question anything you tell me again. I will do as I'm told.
Wow.
And that was it. You work together, you listen, and, they always say, and even though I say to my athletes, because what happens with athletes, they get to a stage where they start to do well and they believe that they know everything. And then the performance starts to, weigh, and I say to them, what did you do when you were running well? And they give you all the answers, and I said, no, you listened. And that's what I did. When Ron told me anything, I just listened and processed it. And, we had a great relationship. We never argued about anything.
Is it quite rare in athletics these days to have a coach for life?
Very much so.
Yeah.
We are, having a coach for life is a rare breed. And they've done studies that, and it says most of the top athletes, in my era, they had maybe one or two coaches through their careers, all the successful ones. And now, it's like a transfer window. As soon as something goes wrong, there's no accountability. It's always blame the coach. And one of the things when I, became a coach, Ron said to me, first of all, we both thought I did not have the patience to be a coach. Of course, you have to have patience with these kids. And it's not just about giving them, the training. You have to be, the agony aunt, the agony uncle. You got to listen to the boyfriend problem. The girls going to tell you all about their personal business. You just got to. It's everything. Mm-hmm. And he said, if you remember this one thing, then you can make it as a coach. And he goes, when an athlete runs fast, it's always them. But when they don't, it's always the coach. And it's, do you know what? When you listen to, pundits interviewing people after the game, football,
wherever, and you hear when you're winning, it's all about, yes, we did this, and when they're losing, it's they. It's interesting, isn't it?
It is. You know, Sue and I was talking on the way here, and we was talking about, you know, where when they say like the manager loses the dressing room and everything else, and I could not understand that, because the players, it's never down to the manager, because the manager only sort of like puts the team together. The players have got to want to win for themselves. The manager don't make you win.
Wow.
It's you. And so therefore, you know, when you have players with, I don't want to play for the manager and I don't want to run for the manager, you know, I never understood these kind of things, you know, because where's your pride? You know, this is it's your responsibility. It shouldn't be up to the manager to make you win. It should be you want to win. You know, it could be, you could have a bad manager. It doesn't matter. It's when you get out on the pitch, you want to play to the best of your ability. Not saying that, you know, I don't want to play for the manager.
No. It's a convenient way of getting rid of responsibility,
Exactly.
isn't it? Now, throughout your career, you represented Great Britain with huge pride. I mean, that's what you've just said there. That's sort of, that pride actually, Linford, like seeps out of you. I can feel it sitting opposite you in this interview. But you often face the ugly reality of racism. How did you cope with that?
Well, I mean, you have to cope with that. You know, the thing is that you give in, you're going to lose. And the first time, I remember the first time I realized I was black. I mean, because, you know, for me growing up in Jamaica, I suppose everybody looked the same. And I just thought I was a person. And it was when I was at school, in primary school, and everyone was chasing each other and everything else. And I mean, I know now it's like they were playing kiss chase. It was one of those things at school. And I remember, you know, at school, I mean, when you're young, you just join in. And this little girl said to me, "You can't play." And I'm thinking, why? She goes, "My mummy said I mustn't kiss the blackies." And then I thought, oh, hang on a minute, I'm black. You know, rather than just being a person, I'm black. And so I went home and told my parents. And, you know, hand on heart, my parents never told me to react negatively towards it. You know, first of all, they said, well, you'll learn how to deal with it yourself. This is something you have to do. And that was it. And I went to school, and of course, you know, you learn. I mean, you had to fight, you know, a couple of times. Of course I had to fight because, you know, kids would call your name. Because kids are cruel.
Yes.
But they don't learn the cruelty on their own. They learn it from home. And so, and that's just exactly, you know, what it was. And you do learn. You have to learn to cope. It's like, you know, if you're at school doing maths and the teacher always wants you to do the working out. Regardless of the answer, they want to see how you got to the answer, and that's what it is. So you have to work it out yourself and how you're going to deal with it, because, you know, later on, if my parents had given me the answer and said to do this or, you know, to do that, then I wouldn't have learned anything.
And you're not owning it either, are
exactly.
you, at that point?
And so, yeah. But as you grow older, it changes, of course. And, you know, I read a quote, someone said, you know, that, you know, from a black person's perspective, we went to school together and you said you were going to change. You weren't going to be the way your parents were. Mm-hmm. And then as we grow older, you become your parents. And that's what it is, you know. And so therefore, but I never let it hold me back. It's life when, you know, people, it shouldn't be life, but it is. When people of different creed and colour get together, of course, they're going to be a problem.
And do you think that landscape's changed for, you know, black British athletes now?
I mean, I don't think it's as bad as, but it's subtlety, isn't it now? You know, because in those days it was just blatant. You just said it. But then people learned to be, was it covert? I think it was. But it's not just because of athletic. I mean, I think we now live in a climate where things are changed. And I think because the President of America can say certain things, and people believe if the most powerful man in the world can say these things, then it's okay. You know, and so you look at the way the political, you know, climate's going, the people who are of immigrant background are the ones who are saying, we can't have these people in the country, which it beggars belief. And I find that, you know, I have friends and, you know, and I listen to people, and they're saying now about immigrants what people used to say about us. They say, oh, black people come here, first of all, they take all the jobs, they take all the dole. I mean, you can only take one or the other, because if you take all the jobs, then you're not on the dole. But also, this is what, you get pregnant, you get a council flat and everything, and this is what things people said about us. And now we are the people saying it about others. And I never understand, I don't understand that, because conquered people shouldn't conquer people. And it's a madness, but I never allow that to affect me. If anything, I let it spur me on to be better. And, I came here in 67, and, I went from, living in Shepherd's Bush to then I became captain, one of the most successful captain of the British athletic team and everything else. And I own it. I own myself. And I think when we come to a place, we came into the UK, we have to be, British. And no one can ever tell me to go back to my country, because this is my country.
Yeah.
And if I didn't feel British, because I always say I'm as British as the Queen. If I didn't feel British, then of course, but you got to get in there, you got to get in society, you got to, accept it, as your own. And I know more about the UK than I do about Jamaica. Doesn't mean I'm not Jamaican, but, I'm British at the same time.
Which of your finals was your greatest win?
Oh, it's not even the fact that my final, between the Olympics and the World Championships was, greater than the other. It's just what meant more. The Olympics for me was, for my Queen and country and my coach, my training partners, all those people around me, because I think it means a lot more to many people to be an Olympic champion. But the World Championships was for me, and it was more personal, I think, than everything else, because after I won the Olympics, then, Carl Lewis and a few others were saying I only won because they weren't there and everything else, not alluding to the fact that they weren't good enough to make their own country's team, but, and so for me, I had to come back again. And it was a bit rankled, because our newspapers was giving them space to attack me. And I'm thinking, we're supposed to be on the same side. You're supposed to be, bigging me up. And, but they didn't happen that way. And so when I went to the World Championship, everybody was there. Nobody was missing. No one can say anything. And so personally for me, I enjoyed that more. And also I ran, another British record, my fastest time ever. And, they always say the hotter the battle, the sweeter the victory. So it wasn't as easy as the Olympics. It was pretty tough. And I came through that. So it means a lot more to me.
And was that in Stuttgart?
In Stuttgart, yes.
Yes. And on that race, on that specific race, was there a moment in that, 9.87 seconds? Was there a moment where you knew that you were going to be running the fastest race of your life?
I run for times. No, sorry, I run to win, not for times. Times are made to be broken. Medals will stay with you forever. And the moment for me of all that was, my main rival at the time was an American guy called Andre Kaysen. And no matter, I go out and I ran first round, he'd run faster. And we got to the second round, I'd run, he'd run faster. And I remember, but in the semi-final, I'd already raced, and I was in the warm-up area with Ron. And it came over, because you can hear, or, sometimes they have screens, you can see what's going on. And it came in Andre Kaysen run at the time. He ran 9.92, which was, at the time, my British and European record. And I looked at Ron, and I said, "Did you hear that?" And he looked at me and he goes, "What the bloody hell are you worried about?" He goes, "Why are you worried?" He goes, what did he just run? I said, 992. He goes, you've done it before, he's got to do it again. And, you know, I always say, I've never been in a race where I've never thought I could win, even if I didn't, or doubted myself. And at that moment, before I spoke to Ron, I doubted myself. And after, you know, Ron, you know, and then after the lecture, after he said that, it made me believe, yes, you know, of course he's got to do it again. I've done it before. I know what it feels like. And that gave me the confidence, yeah, more than anything else. And having the right people around you is so important. Yeah. Because if Ron wasn't as confident about me, then maybe I would have gone out there and I would have been beaten. And, you know, one of the things I learned about it is that it doesn't matter how much confidence your coach has in you, it's how much confidence you have in yourself. And so for me, that changed my entire, you know, belief system. And my motto is, all things are possible if you believe. And I can't have my coach having more faith in me than I've got in myself. And so, yeah, and that changed me. And so for me, once I got out there, I knew I was going to win. Yeah. You know, but leading up to that, because the race is not won on the track. The race is won before you get out on the track.
Tell me about that. As in, you personally, with your own inner voice, battling that, making sure that you're winning yourself over because you're confident and you know you are going to leave nothing on the track? Or you mean because of the people that you're, you know, in the warm-up area with, having to be in the holding area with? What do you mean by that?
It's all the above, because, you know, we have a room called a call room in athletics, and maybe it's about as big as the room we're in now. And everybody you're competing against, we're all in the same room. All, you know, your rivals, and everyone prepares differently. So, of course, the Americans, sometimes they're a little bit more vociferous. They'll make, you know, whooping sound, and you know, it's all about psychology. So everybody, you know, you know, it's not, you know, to run fast or to win, it's not just because you've got speed. It's a lot to do with your mind. So we all sit, you know, we sit on a bench or on chairs, and everybody looking around, and you can see each other. And we were trying to read each other. So you know, everybody, I did. I knew all my rivals. I knew their weaknesses, their strengths, and everything else. And that's how you have to, you know, train to beat them. So for me, everybody trains the physical, nobody trains the mental. So we then get out into, you know, you're walking out to the stadium, and you're out there, and, you know, you've got 100,000 people, 60,000 people, whatever, cheering. And for me, the only name I can hear, and I believe that everyone out there in the stadium is only cheering for me. And so, you know, that's what I need. You know, and so you walk out, and you keep that focus. And you have to believe everyone's there to see me, everyone wants me to win. And then you create a home crowd advantage for yourself. And I mean, I suppose you know when people play at home, and that's what it is. Just like, so everywhere I go in a championship in a major stadium, I picture that in my mind as home. And everyone out there is cheering me, willing me on to win. And so when you meet an athlete, if you look in their eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul, and you can tell what a person's going to do by looking in their eyes. And if they put their head down, and you know, or automatically, you know, you've got them. And then I'm out on the warm-up track, and people are warming up, and I will go and do the drill that they're doing next to them, but do it even better. So of course, then you know that's another part of the psychology. And leading to, you know, other races, you go out and you'll say, I haven't done any speed work yet. You know, I'm still a bit rusty and everything, and you beat them. So then when you get to the championship, you say, I've done all my speed work, I'm ready. And automatically they think, gosh, if he beat us when he hadn't done his speed work, now that he's done speed work, what chance have we got? So it's all it's all a little psychological thing, and it is, you know, in the mind. If you can get into people's mind, it's amazing what you can do.
And did Ron help you with that, or is that something you took on yourself? And did you used to go home, would you rehearse stuff? Would you imagine and visualize being in stadiums? How did you practice for that?
It's not something you can practice. You know, experience maketh the man. And before the Olympics in 1991, we went to the World Championships, and I was fourth. And I thought I was in great shape and everything else. And I thought I got out well, and as soon as Carl Lewis came on my shoulder, I went tight. And, the three Americans went past me. Mm-hmm. So there I was, I came fourth fastest time ever. And that was it, nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I had to, I thought, I'm never going to run any faster. Time to retire. But then, of course, this is why, the great general public, I got so many letters and everything from people saying, no, the Olympics is only 1 year away. We've bought tickets already. We're coming to see you and blah, blah, hold out for 1 year.
Did you? You had letters written to you?
I had so many letters.
Wow,
seriously.
Linford.
And so I thought, okay, let's see
Go
what
again.
happens. And so you go away and then, you have to reinvent yourself. So I thought, what can I do that if an athlete came on my shoulder, that I wouldn't go tight? And I thought about blinkers, I thought about all these things. And I was training one day, doing some runs, and I realized if I can open, you see me with my eyes like this, if I can run this way, I can blur
out what's at the edges.
Everything on the edge.
That's what you did?
And that's exactly what I did.
Wow. So you almost got rid of your peripheral vision.
Exactly.
Blimey.
And so, again, if I had not been in that,
coming forth in that,
forth with and realizing, it never happened. So, of course, that's why I say the experience, it's all, you can't teach these things. You learn from your experience.
Gosh, that's incredible. How do you feel about your record eventually being broken by Zarnell Hughes in 2023?
Oh, no, it's not,
you were like, okay, it's going to happen.
Yeah. For me, and a lot of people ask me this question. So, for me, it shows then that the sport's progressing.
Right.
And as I said earlier on, records are made to be broken. Medals, they can't take away. Mm-hmm. And so for me, if you put it out in sort of like perspective, when I ran 987, the world record was 986. And when Zarnell, I think it was 985, I think he ran. I'm not really quite sure on the times because I don't really, I love Zarnell. He's, one of my good friends. But for me, at the time when he ran, broke the British record, the world record was 958.
Right.
So if you put it in perspective,
yes.
and when I ran 987, I was winning everything.
Yes.
And so it's totally different. You can't.
Yeah.
The era's different. They got much better equipment now. Shoes, everything else. So for me, I am happy that my record gets broken because it means then that the sport is moving on.
Moving forward. Yeah. Now you're known for your upright sprint, that power sprint. But a lot of coaches these days don't coach that, do they? They try and keep you down. You can tell I'm not an athlete, jeez. With my rather basic question. But, what's the current science? Because you're a coach now, how do you coach that start?
Well, what I do, first of all, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
So a lot of my principles I coach comes from Ron and the way he coached me. Because I think, if I can coach one of my athletes around 987, 986, then they can go out and do some amazing things. Mm-hmm. And so I coach very similar, to the way Ron coached me. But of course, you have to adapt certain things and change certain things for the athletes. So in my day, it sounds really a long time ago, but we didn't have what they call a drive phase.
Right.
So we were taught to get to top speed as quick as possible and to try and hold on to it as long as possible.
Got it.
So now they have totally different. They have what they call a drive phase. So you come out and you stay low and then you gradually come up. It's like the way an airplane goes. So you go,
yeah,
and then you come up.
Yeah.
And so this is the way they're coaching, and this is it seems to be, or it is a very successful way of doing it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way, the principle of what I coach. But again, my philosophy is that your shoulders are your engine. So the stronger you are in the shoulders, and Ron always said, the faster your arms move, the faster your legs will go. And so I teach that principle. So I'm very much a physical coach. We do a lot of weight lifting.
Yep.
Because again, the idea is to be as light as possible and be as strong as possible.
Yeah.
So during my career, I mean, I can lift, twice my body weight on the bench or in the clean. I can squat maybe 3 or 4 times my body weight in the gym. And so that is the principle. I just
Strength.
try and be yes, you have to be strong.
Wow. And you're coaching Bianca
Williams,
Yes.
yes, amongst others, yes, indeed.
Wow.
And the thing is for me, it shows me that Ron's methods work.
Yep.
Because, I've been coaching since 1997. And gosh, I've had Darren Campbell, Olympic gold, Mark Lewis Francis, the European Catherine Murray, Olympic bronze. I've just been, I've coached, an amalgamation of people, and it seems to work.
It seems to work. Why didn't you go into rugby or something? Because you are swift. Were you ever tapped up for like American football or rugby?
The funny thing, I got offered the rugby thing.
Did you?
I was once, they wanted me to be. I think it was Richmond. Was it Richmond?
Yeah,
play coach or whatever it was, and everything else. But rugby wasn't my love.
No.
And we played rugby at school, but we played normally the day after. Like the footballers had played on the pitch.
Oh, right.
And it had frosted over, and
got chopped up.
Oh, and when they tackle you on that, it was
You're like,
painful.
no thanks.
And this for me, the other thing I read somewhere once that the biggest problem rugby players have is when they get tackled and there's fox.
Oh, yes.
Fox poo on,
Hideous, or dog, or even worse, dog
Yeah, and then
poo.
they tackle you, and no.
That's a no.
That is a no for me.
So have you ever played? Have you ever been, chucked on the wing?
They chuck you on the wing, yeah. Give it to Linford on the wing.
Ball.
Yeah, I played maybe once or twice, but no. It was
Keep out of the way.
Yeah, not for me.
There's a great female rugby player called Ellie Kildan. Have you ever seen her play? She's absolutely amazing. But when I spoke to her, she said, "Listen, Alice, when I get the ball, I just run really fast because I don't want to get tackled. That's why I'm swift." So
no, I'm not a great team. For me, again, when you play team sport, you got to share the accolade.
Yeah.
And so you got to rely on that your whole team is going to train 100%. And it's never that way. So if you train hard and a lot of your team players haven't trained hard, and then you lose, then it looks bad on me. So if I know in an individual sport, it's all down to me.
Yeah, you've done everything you can do.
If I win, it's all me, and if I lose, it's all me. So
it's all you. Yeah. Now, in your career, you faced 2 high-profile challenges from the authorities regarding testing. First in Seoul in 1988, and then again in 1999. You've always maintained that these were cases of misinformation. But looking back now, how did it feel, to fight for your reputation when you were also fighting for medals?
For me, it's, I suppose when it happens at a time and you get accused, you feel everything's crashing down. But after a while, you sit down and, it's just a load of rubbish. And for me, if you believe I did it, that's up to you. Your friends don't need an explanation and your enemies won't believe you. And that's just my philosophy. I sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I hand on heart, never did it and so I don't have no worries. And, it got to the stage sometime when they say, oh, you need to come and explain yourself. No, bollocks. I don't have to, because you can't win. You can't win, and so to me, I still am an advocate for, clean sport. They have a system where, you can smoke weed off season and you can't smoke it, and I think that's a load of rubbish too. If you can't do it at all, you shouldn't be able to do it at all. Yeah. And I talk to my athletes about, being clean and everything else because it's your health more than anything else. And so when my athletes finish the sport, I want them to be able to walk away and be healthy, have kids, and do whatever, if it's possible, and do whatever you want to do. I'm 65 years old now, and I have no aches and pains. I have no problem with my body because my body's clean. So nothing I can do about, and I don't try to change people's mind about me. If you believe I did it, you did it, And if you don't,
But
you
the
don't.
pressure you were under, though, Linford, at the time when you were I mean, it must have been unbelievable.
But life is pressure. You know, the worst thing about this, right? First of all, you think, you know, the last time they said I was on Nandrolone. Now this is at the end of my career. And so they said, oh, he's been doing it all along. So if I've been doing it all along, now, I mean, and people say, oh, your technology has improved and everything, but, you know, why? You know, people do things for a reason. I'd retired from the sport, and, you know, I mean, success was it. You know, there was nothing more I could have done. So why would I do it for? What's the reason?
Yeah, no motive.
So I sleep at night. I don't care about it.
Do you think your mental strength is better than the average person? Because everything I've spoken to you about, you know, there's a real sense that you have got complete control over your brain and what you're thinking and how you're thinking. Is that something that you think, you know, put you next to the average person, you've just got a better ability to keep your brain strong?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, the thing is, I play games with my kids and I got to win. You know, it's plain and simple. They can cry all they want when they were younger, you know, because this is life. Life doesn't give you anything. You know, I don't want my kids to believe in Father Christmas because, you know, I went and did it. You know, whatever present you got, that's me. And so for me, yes, I do believe, you know, mentally I've got it over there. And that's, you know, again, that's because it's something I want to do and something I've done for myself. You know, I was asked a question once, if you weren't doing athletics, what would you be doing? And I said, I'd be a brain surgeon. And people laughed. And I'm thinking, why do you laugh? If I put the same amount of dedication and time in anything, I can be it. Yeah, and that is my entire philosophy. My father was very similar to that, you know, and so therefore I suppose it you know, some of it is rubbed off. But yes, I honestly believe, you know, I can do anything.
Love that. I want to know how you just don't doubt yourself. And
you know, years ago I went on, you know, the late Richard Burns, God rest his soul. I went on a rally thing with Richard Burns in the Swiss Alps. And we got to these little, you know, they call them the chicane, the whiff.
Oh, yes.
And he's driving, and I mean, the closer we got to one of those, the more speed he picked up.
Was there like drops either side?
No, it was just you know the width restrictions when you go through and you can see where all the cars have scraped the sides when you're doing no. So he didn't damn. And I've seen, you know, and so to me, I'm thinking, this guy has got, you know, he's wired different. And so for me, if it was me, you drive slowly and to get through it, and then you would scrape your car on either side, you know. But he just went through because he had the confidence and the belief, I mean, you know, to get through. And I think that's how you have to be. Mm-hmm. It's no part in life where you have to do something half-heartedly. Mm-hmm. When I signed up to be an athlete, you agree to abide by the rules, and you got to believe that this is what you want to do, and this you give it 100%. If you're not going to give it 100%, don't do it. Mm-hmm. And so that's me. I get up every morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'm out there training in the cold, the rain, whatever it is. My coach is out there with me. You got to believe. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's faith. It is, honestly, sport is faith. Because you do all this training and you never know if you're going to make it or not. And it's not my God-given right to be the fastest man in the world. But I can try. We can't all be champions, but we can all try to be. And that is me. I just try, and I realize that. It's not given. You have to go out there and get it. And so where it actually, came from, I don't know whether it's genetics or not, but that's just, I believe I can do all things. And
do you instill that in your kids?
Of course. I instill on my kids. I want my kids to believe the same way. I mean, my kids...
Apart from in Father Christmas.
Well, of course. You know, why is it that the biggest present you give your kid comes from Father Christmas? If you saw this guy, you come down to your front room one day, you see this guy in red, standing in your front room, you'd
freak you out.
You'd beat him up or call the police, because why is it, especially nowadays, we ain't got no chimneys. Where do you get
No, you know? I get it.
That's me. I just believe you have to, they always say when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade, and that's what it is, So If you don't believe in you, who is? And my granny always said, if you don't love yourself, how do you expect anybody else to love you? And so that's me. You know, I'm responsible. Old man, you know, every man has to give account of himself, you know, to God, if you believe in the end, you know, at the end of days. So therefore, I got to take responsibility of me, and I've got to give account of myself. So I want to be able to, you know, say, yes, I tried my best. I gave my best. If it didn't happen, it didn't happen. But, you know, I don't want to be, if only I'd done. Really don't want to be that person at all.
Now, your coaching, is that full time? How much of your day is pretty much coaching?
Every day.
Every day. Are you down the track every day?
I am down the track every single day, except for Sundays.
Okay.
You know, and I think, you know, there are times when, again, I don't want to do it. Honestly, I mean, a coach is for life, not just for Christmas.
Yeah.
And when you decide to be a coach, you agree to take on other people, you know, the responsibility of others. Everyone, they trust you with their career. And so therefore, if I'm sick, I still have to go to the track. I'm going through, you know, bereavement or whatever, I still got to go to the track. And my mood determines everyone else's mood.
Yeah.
So I have to go to the track. I'm always smiling. And, you know, I teach my guys to enjoy, have fun, and, you know, and that's what it is, you know. So for me, sometimes when I hear people got mental health and all this thing, you know, in sport, we're gladiators. And so there's no room in sport for mental health. If you've got mental health, then do something else. Because when you're a gladiator, you ain't got no, it's between you and a lion. You know, and there was that saying, whether you're the gazelle or the lion, when the sun comes up, you both better start running. And that's what it is. So I really don't understand, you know, now everybody's got mental health. Sports, no, we're gladiators. There's no room in sport for mental health. Absolutely none. Otherwise, you're not going to win.
Do you think it solves a lot of mental health issues?
Of course it can help you.
Yeah.
It can. Sport opens doors. It can help you with mental health. But I don't think sport gives you mental health. And also, you see, sometimes, you know, pressure in sport is what you put on yourself or you allow people to put on you. And so you've got to work out which way around, you know, which way around you want it.
Yeah, that's a really key point, that, actually. You allow the stress to happen
You allow,
to you. It's up to you to decide, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it's fight or flight. And so for me, I think, you know, during training, you have to rehearse certain things. And, you know, I take, you know, this kind of attitude into training. You know, I said to some of my guys, oh, you know, I don't do this. I said, listen, they buried my mum on a Friday. I went on the Saturday morning. I was on the Eurostar going to run for my country. You know, the public and your opponents especially, your opponents don't care about your mental health. If you stand on that line, you're fit. And that's the problem with a lot of people. You know, disappointment comes. Of course there's always going to be disappointment. But I think generation now, they don't expect to be disappointed. So if it doesn't go their way, then, I got mental health. No, it just didn't go your way. You know, you can't win everything. It doesn't matter if you lose all the small ones, as long as you win the big ones.
How do you coach someone when they lose?
Well, first of all, I don't coach them when they do. I coach them when they win. So the first thing is, when you win, I tell my guys, come to the track. Come and get your accolades from your teammates.
Yeah, your peer group.
Yeah, so they go there and they clap. They say, well done. You enjoy it. Even, you know, they don't have to train the day after, but you come down.
Yes.
And you get that and you think, damn, this is what it feels like. I win and everyone's, you know, clapping and cheering me. So then I want to win something even bigger, because then I'm going to get a bigger, you know, accolade and cheer. And that's what it is. So when you lose, you didn't lose because someone's better than you. You lost because on the day your best wasn't good enough. If anyone's better than you, do something else. And that's what it is. It's just on the day your best wasn't good enough. And that's all it is.
And when you see your athletes run now, do you get sweaty palms? Do your heart start going?
I've got no nails. I have no nails. You know, and the thing about it is, I think, how hard is it to run fast? You know, and you know, I think it's harder to run slow than it is to run fast. You know, when you're running fast and you're flowing, everything is coordinated. It's just flowing, and the problem is then that's when another problem because everyone else believes they can do it. So they see you run and everything else, and they see, you know, when someone's professional, that's what they do. That's how you know they're good because you think, oh, I can do that.
It's effortless, isn't it? From the outside, it looks effortless.
My dad used to say, oh, Steve Ovett, I could beat Steve Ovett. You know, not really, you know, because they make it look easy, and that's what you know, the pros make it look easy, and that's what it is. But nobody in the world is better than you. It's just on the day your best wasn't good enough, maybe it's just not for you.
Now, you also, in addition to athletics, you've become the leading face for Prostate Cancer UK. Why is it important to you, this? Why is this kind of ambassadorial role important to you?
You know, I do things that I believe in. And if you ever see me out there advertising something or doing something, it's because I honestly either use it or believe in it. Mm-hmm. You know, and for me, prostate and is things like that, it's something everybody's talking about. And it used to be, I suppose, one of these things where it said it only affected black people or black men. And now they're realizing it affects everybody because I think we've all got the same kind of DNA in us. And it's going to, you know, and what, you know, because you live on the hill and I live down, you know, valley and mountain people, it's going to affect us, isn't it? So I do that because, you know, trying to raise awareness. Because especially men are not like women, you know, we don't talk about things. And we don't have this, you know, I don't know, often you go for a pap test or whatever. Men, they should be one for men. They honestly should be one for men. And we wouldn't use it, but, you know, I think at least we have the opportunity. And so, yes, so I believe very much in that. And I think, you know, more men should have this open discussion about it.
If you could go back, this is going to be my final question because we're running out of time. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been an hour. If you were going to go back to that 7-year-old boy coming to the UK from Jamaica, knowing everything that you know now, what would you whisper in that boy's ear?
You know, I wouldn't whisper anything because I wouldn't change anything because you have to take the rough and the smooth. You know, and, you know, people now, especially, they're trying to, you know, coaches trying to create a person where everything is working, balanced out of 100%. That wouldn't make you perform well. You need, when you're down, a part of your body then goes up. And it's like riding the bicycle. So the pedal comes up, the other pedal goes up. And that's how life is. And so for me, the rough times I've had is what made me strong. Yeah, and there was, again, I saw I'm always quoting, but, you know, he said, I asked God for strength and he gave me a problem. And that's what it is. You get the problem so you can work out, get through it and become stronger. And so all the little bits and pieces that I've been through in life is what make me the person I am, you know, today. So I have no regrets in life. You know, there's things I could have done better, yes. But if you change one thing, then it upsets the equilibrium of everything. And so, no, I wouldn't whisper anything in this area at all. Just let him get on with it and see what the outcome is.
Linford, thank you so much. It's been an absolute, honour to chat to you in such an informal way. I love that idea of the pedal. When one goes up, one goes down. I shall think about that. On my bike ride every morning.
Exactly. Your left leg gets weak and pushes out the other one.
Absolutely.
That's life. That is life, isn't it, really?
That is life.
That is definitely life.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of everybody who's listened or watched this Brilliant Minds in Conversation chat with the awesome Linford Christie, if you want to know anything more, pop to the Harvey Thornycroft website. But thank you so much. You're an amazing athlete. And I mean, you're still lifting right now. Are you still lifting?
Still benching.
Weight, still benching.
Still
there we go. I can't believe you. I'm not even going to mention your age. You don't know anywhere near it. So on behalf of everybody listening, this has been Brilliant Minds in Conversation. Thank you very much, Linford Christie.